This is Amud Yomi Gemara and Shabbos. Daf Kuf Dalid Amud Aleph. I'm holding on. Kuf Gimel Amud Beis. We're about 15 lines down into the wide lines. No, we did this already. We are further down into Amud. I apologize. No, about 15 lines down. Amar Rav Yehuda Mesini Shem Katan Mishem Gadol Shin Mem from Shimon from Shmuel. Says the Gemara Midami is writing Shem Mem similarly to writing the regular Shem Mem de Shem Sasam. The Mem of the word Shem is Sasam. It's an end of Mem. Mem de Shem Patuach. Amar Rav Chisa says Sasam Vasa Pasuach Kasher. That if you have a closed letter, you have end a letter and you make it patuach, it's kosher. They each have their own chashivas. They're each considered letters onto their own. Meisri asked the Gemara 1 second. The Torah says that when you write tefillin, it has to be perfect. Alf and ayin and ayin and alf and don't mess up ayin and alifs. Bezin gavin bezin don't mess up bezin chavs. Gamin sadin gamin don't mess up gimels and sadis. Tlasin Rejin, Tlasin Dalit Reish, Hein Chetin Hein, Hazen Chaz, Vavin Yodin, Vavin Yodin, Vav, Zayin Nunin, Zayin Nuns, Tasin Bayin, Bayin, Tasin, Kifufim Shootin, pen letter, straight letter, shooting, Kifufin, and here, Memin, Samchin, Visamchin, Memin, Stumim, Psuchim, Stumim. So the Brisa says explicitly that when you're writing tefillin and mezuzah, you have to make sure not to mess up end of letters, etc. Continues the Brisa, Parsha Psucha, or 6 times from the bottom, Liyaseh Stuma. Stuma Liyaseh Psucha, Ksav Kashira. If you wrote like a song, Oshkasav is a Shira Kyotzeba, or you wrote the Shira we know is like bricks and you wrote it straight. Oshkasav Shleibed Yeh without Ik. Oshkasav Eskars Bezav. You wrote the names of Hashem with golden dust. Harili Genaizu, all these are puzzle. But what do we see? We see that mems are particular whether they're end of mems or not. Answers the Gemara, Rav Chisto Damar Kaitana, 4 lines to the bottom, he holds the Tani Rav Yudim and Beseir Aimer Nemer Basheni. With regard to the carbon tam, and it says in the second day of Sukkot, Viniskeya, Bashishe Munasachel, Bashvi Kimishvatam. And what do we learn out from here? Harimem Yod Ma'em. These 3 words spell out, extra letters spell out Mayim. So what do we see from here? Do we see that we have a remez mem and mem, even though the letter mem over here is not in the beginning of a pasuk? But the pasuk vasasam kasher, sasam nami, sasam vasam kasher. So that shita Rav Yehuda that does say that messing up suach and sasam, messing up end mems, the regular mems, is going to be kasher. Says the Gemara, what does that do with Rav Yehuda? Midami, patuach vasa sasam. If you have a regular letter and you made it sasam and you made it closed, ali kamayla, you made it a higher level. What? It's a more kedusha because the mem and the samach, even though they're completely closed letters, and therefore the hole in the middle, if you chisel it out, is no way to stand. That's the chiddush, and in the luchais they still able to stand. But in the reverse, supposed to have an end of mem, and you made it open. You're lowering the standard of a letter. The mem nun tzadi pei chaf were said by the Nevi'im. So you're going down in kedusha. So how can you bring a raya? Says the Gemara of Tizra. And is it true? So how can you tell me that the Nevi'im be the letters of mem nun tzadi pei chaf? Ella mihavi havai. Says where you're right. The letters, of course, were always around. But they didn't know which letters were the end of letters, which letters went in the middle of the word. And Seifim, and the Nevi'im came, and they said which are the beginning and which are at the end of the words. Says the Gemara, Vakati ela mitzvahis. What do we do with the pasuk? It says ela mitzvahis for every learn Rashai. So how are the Nevi'im even able to tell us where the letters go? Says, you're right. They knew it. It's not a new thing. The Nevi'im just came after they forgot and said where they're supposed to be, which they knew already, but it's not a chiddush that the Nevi'im are saying. Gufa continues the Gemara. Amar Rav Chisda, Mem v'sam shabelucha is b'nei Yisaya oimdim. As we just saw, Amar Rav Chisda, Ksav shabelucha is nikra b'fnei v'nikra b'achad. You can be rated on both sides. Kigoin, Navov, Buvin. On the other side, you see the word Buvin, Bahar, Rav, Saru, Varas. That was part of the nace of the luchis. Says the Gemara, the two dots about 15 lines down. The Dardiki, the young Talmidim came to Beis Medrash Teva. They said things that even Bismani Yeshua ben Nun they never said. Aleph Beis stands for Aleph Bina. Learn Torah. Gimel Dalet stands for Gimel Dalim. And only after you learn Torah, then your Gimel Dalim you give to the Dalim, to the poor. My time of Shutakare, the Gimel Legabe Dalit. Why is the reason that the leg of the Gimel, we're going into deep explanations of the letters, the leg of the Gimel goes towards the Dalit. Shein Darka Shal Gimel Chasadin, the one who looks for Chasadin, Lara Tachar Dalim, he runs after the poor. My time on the last narrow line, Shutakare Dalit Legabe Gimel. The straight letter of the Dalit goes towards the Gimel. The Limse Leinavshe, that the Ani should make himself available. The Dal should make himself close to the Gemol, to the one who wants to give him Chesed. Now, why is the face of the Dalit away from the Gimel? Indicating you should give tzedakah b'tzina kechadol lekatif minei. You don't want to embarrass him. We continue darshing the Aleph Beis Hevav. Zeh Shemoshe Kadosh Baruch Hu Zayin Ches Tes Yod Kaf Lamed. The letters are, the 6 letters of the Aleph Beis is Vimat Isa Kain. If you do this, if you're Aleph Bina, you learn Torah, you're Gamal Dalim, and then you give Tzedakah. Kadosh Baruch Hu Zanascha V'cheinascha. Zayin, Hashem will sustain you. Ches, Hashem will give you favor. Tes, Umeitiv Lacha, Hashem will give you goodness. V'noislecha Yerusha, the Yod, Hashem will give you inheritance. Chaf, V'kosh L'ka Keser, La'ilam Haba. And we continue in the Aleph Beis, 4 lines into the white lines. Mem Patucha, Mem Stuma, the open and closed mems. Maimer Patuach, Maimer Sasan. It refers to that some Torah is a Maimer is open and some is closed. Some Torah we're supposed to learn, some Torah we're not. Non Kefufa v'nam Pshuta. Nem on Kafif v'nem on Pasha. This refers to someone who's a Neman, someone who's faithful, he's bent over, will stand tall. When he's kafaf in this world, the next world he'll be pashat, he'll stand up straight. Samachayin samachaniyim, support the poor. Lishnachrina simane asay teira, make simanim for the teira, kinei yisan, thereby acquire it. And of course, every time we see this, it reminds ourselves how simanim are not a new thing. How simanim, the Torah says, it's part of the intrinsic nature of the Aleph Beis himself. Samay Chaniyim or simanim asay. Of course, the Heilige Zichru program, which Mirza Hashem will be adding on to our repertoire soon enough. Pei kfufa b'shei tuta, the open pay, the closed pay, pei p'sucha b'asasam, an open mouth, a closed mouth. Sometimes you talk, sometimes you don't. Sadik kfufa, sadik b'shuta, sadik kafaf, a ben sadik, sadik pashat, or straight up sadik. Hainu neman kafaf and neman pashat. Says the Gemara, a tzaddik, kafaf and pashat is we just saw by a ne'aman. It's the same thing. Says the Gemara, you're right. Bent upon bent. The humbleness of the tzaddik, that when you give over Torah, you should be a humility, a trembling. Kaf Kadosh Reish Rasha. The next letter Kaf stands for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Reish stands for a Rasha. Maitem Had Abe the Kaf Reish. So why is the face of the Kaf looking away from the Reish? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Einani Yachalis Akel Barasha. Shem says, I can't look at the Rasha. Maitem Had Tagi the Kaf the Gabi Reish. So why is the crown of the Kaf towards the Reish? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu Im Chayzer Boy. But the Rasha will do tshuva. I myself, says Hashem. Kaisha like Keser, Kamaisi, I'll tie a crown like my own, and my time I carried the cuff to Luya. Why is the leg of the cuff hanging low? The Hadr Belayel, so if the person does tshuva, he'll be able to go into the bottom of the cuff. V'leil Bahach, says the Gemara, why doesn't he go around the other side? Why do you need to have an extra opening towards the Reish? Says the Gemara, the Leitzin, the cynics will act cynically, but the humble will get chen. This teaches us that if someone wants to do something wrong, Hashem says the world's at your oyster. But Hashem is Messiah, and Hashem helps him. Shin stands for sheker, Tov stands for emes. My time is sheker, mekarva mile, ways letters of sheker close. Emes merachin, it is shod kuf reish are close, but emes aleph mem tov are the all the ends of the aleph base. Sheker shchiach, sheker is common, kushtel shchiach, but emes is not so common. My time sheker achada kari koi. Sheker, the legs all get narrow at the end. The shin is pointy, the kuf is pointy, the reish is pointy. Whereas the emes melabin lebune, the aleph has two legs, the mem is a flat bottom, the tuf has two legs. Kushta koi, shikra loi koi. That truth stands, so it has a lot of legs, whereas sheker does not stand, therefore it does not have a leg. Sheker in the loy raglayim, of course, and whereas emes, of course, does. We'll stop over here. We'll pick it up for the continuing the aleph base in Mirza Hashem.